Hi everybody. I'm going to do another reading now. I'm setting the intention of it being based on shadow work or basically like the dark inner self that needs to heal and come forward is kind of more my intention of the video, but we'll see what the reading ends up being. I find it more authentic to do the readings first and then labeling what they are afterwards. It makes more sense to me in my brain. So let me see. Okay, so we're gonna start with the Lantern Oracle by Angelina Mirabito, PhD, and illustrations are by Yuli Alejo. Alejo? I think so. Okay. I don't use this deck that often, so I'm curious to see what kind of messages I will receive from them. But I hope it resonates, and whoever watches this video and when it comes to you, I hope you receive messages in this video that are meant for you and healing for you in some way. Repair, making amends rather than fun times, reveals a relationship's true constitution. The card shows a couple knitting together and weaving and sewing their threads of life. But the card itself makes me think of, I'm kind of thinking more of couples. I'm thinking more in terms of you and your relationship struggles in the past, and I'm being told that some of it was you projecting onto the other person. So those these are the darker sides of you, and not everybody likes their shadow self. That's why it comes up in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, but acknowledging these parts of you will help you learn and grow from it. And I'm being told that some of these parts in your past relationships, whether it be romantic or even familial or friendship relationships, you had a tendency to project your feelings onto the other person, which by proxy backfired because it ended up being that person treating you the exact way you were treating them, basically, but in a more material form, more physical form. And you didn't like how you were treated, and that's why you moved on. However, even though you want that other person to take accountability for such things because they made the action towards it, you also need to take accountability for your own things as well. So even if there's things I'm getting the feeling you feel like you really shouldn't have to do that because there's some things that weren't okay that you don't want to get over. And that's fine, but still take accountability for the things that you did that were not okay. So even if you don't show active action towards for some people, for example, you can get upset over something, which ends up being really silly, but in the end it ends up being your own fear that you're projecting outward, and that fear ends up coming back to you in a way where your exact fear happened. It's like that law of attraction mindset where what you think about becomes your reality. So keep that in mind and take time to reflect on your inner self and your outer self as two objective views. And when you do that, I feel like some of you aren't really journal people, so maybe just talk out loud, or if you have voice memos on your phone or something, just talk about it to yourself in some way, or someone you feel very trustworthy with your feelings, and just let these things out. Just don't tell them you want them to reply. Just ask them to listen, and just listen to what you have to say the whole time. And then when you're done, say thank you for listening. I just needed to let it out. And that is like a huge improvement. All right, let's move on to the next card. Forgiveness. Hurt blocks excuse me. Forgiveness, hurt blocks our light. I can't, I didn't say anything about forgiveness yet, but I was talking about projection and how it backfires and comes back to you, basically. And this one says, forgiveness, hurt blocks your light, and it shows her shielding her heart. So maybe, like, you keep your guard up too much, like you don't like letting people in, and that's actually hurting you. Like, not allowing yourself to let new people in when they're trying to gain your trust is actually not benefiting you in any way or in your favor. So you don't have to like trust someone 100%, but at least give them 20% to start, so then it can grow to 50% and then grow to 90%, and then you know your heart will start feeling healed and no longer wounded from past issues and anxieties and dilemmas. I don't know why I said dilemmas, but I guess you guys had dilemmas in the past. And opening this part of you up and learning, I'm being told you're learning how to become more vulnerable. And that's not easy. I myself have been learning to become more vulnerable again, and I've also had to simultaneously, while learning to become more vulnerable, also to stand my ground and be authentically myself in a way where I had to set boundaries and be true to me, because for a while it just felt completely unbalanced and unfair, and to be frank about it, I just got sick of it. So but it's been a learning process, and it's been taking me 6 months to a year to do that. And I have a very great support system now, so, and he really helps heal me in many ways, so I'm happy. But like, I make sure that I remember other things too, because everything in your life is a lesson to be learned, both good, bad, unusual, and great. Like, everything has some kind of life lesson in it that you can learn and put towards your future needs, desires, experiences, and so on. So make sure, like, even if you don't want to give all of it, just give a small fraction or a small piece of it at a time. And then when, these small pieces are the things that you'll learn. If you can trust them with this one thing, then maybe I can trust them with another thing, and then I can trust them with more. So make sure you give yourself that as well. Let's play a couple more cards. We have... This is a confirmation card because I just talked about being vulnerable. So the next card is Strength of Vulnerability. True power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. Strength of Vulnerability. So when I played, like, when I just spoke of this, I didn't even play this card yet. So this to me is a confirmation card, and it's like, it's fully being true to yourself, and it's confirming the vulnerable part and like past anxieties, and I mentioned dilemmas, and it said true power lies at the root of the perceived weakness. And in the beginning I said that you also need to take accountability for your own feelings, emotions, and actions as well, not just the other person. It's never only one person. There's always two or more sides. So make sure you keep that in consideration. Now, the when you learn these things about yourself, you're becoming more self-aware, And when you become more self-aware, you know how to approach communicating with others better. This card, it looks like she's looking at me, like it almost feels like she's on the lookout, like all the time. Like it feels exhausting, honestly. It feels like the guard is always up. You feel like someone's always out to get you. You feel like there's always someone who just wants to put you down, is what I'm getting. And that's not true. There's a line in the card, I think it's a staff or something, but like to me that tells me that there is a support system, but because you're looking at every other area that is wrong, your vision is closing off the areas you do have support. So keep that in mind, and look for the little pieces, that will grow into beautiful things. And you'll feel okay. Like, you'll feel okay once you start doing that. I'm being told some of you definitely have been avoiding it and you need to go back to therapy. You just, I don't know if maybe you refuse to go or if you just haven't in a while, but you definitely need to go back to therapy and see a professional. Is some of the messages, like there's some things, there's some inner demons that are coming back up in your mind and you're having a hard time. I don't think you should suppress them, but I think you should let them out in a healthy and productive way. So for some of you who clicked on this video, this is a sign for you to definitely go back to what you were doing, or if you haven't and you're being stubborn about it, to start seeing it. And not everyone goes to therapy only when there's a problem. Some people go to therapy for the counseling that can be beneficial to them anyway. It's very healthy. It's very normal. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you at all. Like, there's tons of people who go just for the sake of going. You know, it's like when you go to a doctor for a checkup just to make sure you're healthy. Like, the concept is the same. So don't be so restrictive towards it. Keep an open mind. And for some of you who aren't connected with therapy or whatever it may be, find the counseling method that works best for you. Always see a professional that works best for you. Personally, for me, I'm on the side that is, like, also not necessarily against therapy, but, like, I, in my opinion, are on the side of, like, I don't agree with people counseling me because it doesn't feel right with me. Instead, I enjoy going to psychics, but they're not medical professionals. However, I receive the counseling I need in those moments, and if I really need it, I will go. But this, to me, is what works best for me. However, there are many of you who are in this video, you need a professional in the field instead. Okay? I'm going to play, I think, one more card from this deck. From this deck, or I guess not, I'm playing two more cards. Alright. Never mind, it's three. Which one's first? Okay, that one's first. Radical honesty. To believe in the facade is to suffocate in the armor of alienation, self-defeat, and self-denial. Okay, this is interesting to me, playing this card with what I was just talking about. Some of the words are obviously different, and I'm not saying proper English words right now. However, I'm very focused on her wounds. And to me, it's like, with this, she's like putting on a brave front and being one with lots of integrity and like being able to like stay strong and keep going strong. Even the strongest people have moments of weakness and they need help. So like, if this is you, like, this is a confirmation card that you need to you need to seek help when you need it too. And even if you don't think you need it, go anyway, and it might be beneficial for you or a learning experience you've never had before. So this, I also think that, like, it says radical honesty as well. Like, I feel like this video, for some of you who've clicked it, it was like a very, very big step for you in a way where, like, you're like, okay, I probably need to learn something about myself, so I'm going to watch this and see what shows up for me. Radical honesty is also, you know, I was a second ago talking about my admittance to me not necessarily being against therapy, but me personally, I find my own counseling in a different source. And that to me, like, it was a very direct honesty. I prefer honesty anyway. It's just easier to be straightforward if I'm being real with you. So, and honestly, that gets me in trouble a lot. But anyway, it's easier for me to speak my mind. Everybody knows what I'm thinking. However, I am someone as well who I have an easy time speaking my mind, my thoughts, and my feelings towards situations, but I do not have an easy time speaking about my feelings and internal pains. So I definitely view this as a confirmation card. You know, I get, in so far in every one of these cards that I've played from this deck, like, the guard is up. Like, learn to let people in, even if it's just a little bit. Like, it could be something as small as, like, let's say you're someone who doesn't trust easily, which is okay. If you have a past where, you know, you've put a lot of trust in something and something bad really happened, then that's okay that you don't have that trust like you did once upon a time. But relearn how to trust people again in a way, even if it's in small portions. So, like, for example, let's say even something as small as this. Let's say you're not feeling well and you ask for medicine, and you ask them for a very specific kind of medicine. Let's say honey drops for cough drops to soothe your throat, and a ginger tea, okay? And you ask this person to get you, and they end up getting it for you and bringing it to you and asking you, okay, like, that's a very small portion of putting your trust in someone. It may not sound huge to some people, like for some people this is just common courtesy, but for you, these are very small pieces of learning to trust again, and those pieces are going to grow over time. Next card is false beliefs. Once the untruths that we believe about ourselves are illuminated, so are the ways we can release the false limitations they confine to us. So this card, with reading directly the statements on the bottom that I just read to you, I automatically get you know, the limiting beliefs. Basically, you're holding yourself back. And I think I said that in the beginning, but in a different way as well. You're the one holding yourself back, and you're the one keeping yourself chained up and locked down to the cement like a ball and chain on your ankle. So, like, I feel like you're having a hard time seeing things in a different perspective. Like, you're so used to these particular actions and situations, and I'm also being told, like, you're triggered by other people's actions because of what you've experienced in life. You automatically assume that this person you're now associating with will be doing the same thing as that other person in your past, and they're nothing alike. So, like, but that's holding you back, because now you're holding an assumption and a belief that this is going to happen because of what you've experienced, and you're not even giving that other person a chance, and they have nothing to do with each other. And then I see your hands in this, and it makes me think, you know, it makes me think directly of magic, but it makes me think of how you're I mentioned they were knitting and weaving the threads of their life, and this reminds me of the same thing I just said. You're the creator of how you want your life to be. So instead of sitting in this present moment in a way where you're constantly worrying, having anxiety and freaking out about if this person can really be trustworthy, instead of thinking about that, um think about how in the future, or like in the long term, what you want to get out of your life, your view, what you want, how you want to approach things. And even with you in a social standard, how do you want to be towards other people? Do you want to be a good influence for others? Do you want to be an inspiration? Do you want to be a kind person? Do you want to be someone who's tough but helps people grow? Like, what is it that you want to be? And start aspiring to be that person. Wisdom in Play is the last card of this deck. Our wisdom in play, our intuition knows more than we do. Okay, so like there's a difference between instinct and intuition. Instinct is the natural need to survive, okay? And that is what I feel like a lot of you struggle with, and you assume it's your intuition. Intuition is wisdom and messages you receive. You know, I call them spirit. It may be whoever it is to you, okay? But it's from an outside energetic force. And intuition are like sudden knowings, and you know, it can correlate with instincts, but it's not a survival mode. It doesn't work that way. It's more like you have like a suspicion of something, but you're not sure, but you're fine and you'll figure it out later, you know. And you know, intuition, like let's say you have a young child who likes to jump scare you because they think it's funny. You know, your intuition, you can feel that your kid is near you, and you know they're there without knowing that they're there yet. That's your intuitive side. You know, now let's put it in a perspective of instinct. All right, you're walking down the street, you cross the street, and someone, you know, I don't know, there's different things for different places, but like I'm in America, so like I remember this, by the way, actually happened to me. It freaked me out, and I was frightened, okay? I'm thankful I'm safe, but I hope it never happens again. So, I'm going to discuss my experience. A long time ago, I just want, you know, I have a thing where I like to feel nostalgic, and sometimes when I know there's like playgrounds, when I know the children aren't around, I like to go and like sit on the swings, or just like reminisce about my own childhood and past. But I'll only do it like when I know the kids aren't around, because I don't want to be a creep, okay? So, for example, like there's a public playground, and most kids aren't there around the nighttime, you know, being in America, okay? So it wasn't quite night yet, and I was walking across the street, and I made eye contact with someone, and you know, I do a typical gesture where I just like nod my head in an acknowledgement as I walk by. Maybe that's weird, but that's just something I do, okay? And we were going opposite directions, okay? We were not going in the same direction at all. All right, so I had a backpack on because it was easier to carry all my art stuff and anything else I have. It's easier to carry a backpack than a purse, because then I don't feel like I'm lopsided. Okay, and I was walking towards the playground just because I wanted to sit on the swings, and I love the like uneven bars. They're so fun, and like monkey bars. Like you know, I wish they had adult playgrounds, because then you could get good exercise and still have fun just like you did when you were a kid. But anyway, excuse me. So, I didn't notice this right away, but that person who crossed paths with me that I made eye contact with, they ended up turning around and they followed me to the playground. And at first I didn't, like I said, at first I didn't notice that they did that. I didn't realize he was following me. And then when I was like on the playground, like I was on the uneven bars, I was up high at the time, and he approached me. And I was like, okay, that's strange. Like, I don't want to make assumptions of people, but like it's okay to be on guard with things that make you feel uncomfortable. And he approached me, and I was like, okay, that's weird, to myself, of course. And he's like, what's your name? I was like, why? And he's like, just curious. And then I gave him a name, and he gave me a name. And then he asked me how old I was, which creeped me out even more. And I was like, it's like, why do you need to know? And, same thing, like, just curious. So I felt very uncomfortable and very unsafe. And I decided to get back down, and I started walking away, okay, from the situation. And he started following me then, too. So I started speed walking to make sure I was even farther from the situation. And he picked up speed, too. So, like, this man actually stalked me in that moment. And I felt very uncomfortable, and my instincts felt the need to survive because I felt like I was incredibly unsafe in that situation. And I sped walk, and we were in town, and I worked in town, so I knew secret areas, so I went through those areas and looped around to lose track, and then I went into my job, and I told them about how I felt unsafe, and I wanted to stay for a little while, and I never saw the guy again. But, like, it was, that moment is an instinct. Like, that was my instincts telling me you need to leave versus intuition. So, like, the child being behind you, they're there, and they want to spook you, so you're gonna let them. You can feel that they're there. Your intuition's telling you that. But, like, the situation like mine, where I was being stalked, that's your instincts, okay? So there is a fine line between the two things, okay? So this says our intuition knows more than we do. I feel like some of you can be intuitive, but this card also makes me, her face in this card, it makes me feel like you guys struggled really hard, or something very traumatic might have happened in your past. So I understand that this is probably not easy, not only for you to hear, but also for you to, like, move forward. But remember, like, everybody's human. One thing that helps me remember things when I'm upset is, or, like, even when I'm anxious, like, when I'm really, really nervous and scared of a certain outcome, like, one thing that helps me is to remember that the person I'm talking to is human too. They have no idea what you're going to say. They have no idea what you want. And most of the time, they're just open-minded, and they wait to listen to see what you're trying to say to them first. Okay, so, like, this has really helped me in moments of that, is remembering that the person I'm talking to is human like me. They have feelings, they have thoughts. Like, if you say something harmful, you're going to hurt them. Like, the same and vice versa. Like, remember moments like those, because that's going to help you grow too. Not only with the trust, but, like, self-reflection and self-growth, and just self-acknowledgement, and being self-aware of things that you do that could also influence other people. I can tell by the cards that I've played that you've definitely had good reason behaving the way you do, but don't let that make it your life. Like, don't let it be your whole life, okay? So, like, who were you and who do you want to be? Why are you like this now, and where do you want to go? Okay. Now I'm going to move on to the next deck. I think I'm going to do my Fairy Oracle by Lucy Cavendish. Cavendish? Cavendish. Okay. I like this deck because it's fun to see the images and what's played underneath, but I don't play it as often as I think I would. Same as the last deck, and I actually feel very good about the messages I received from the first deck I've played for you guys. I have a feeling that this reading's probably going to be a little longer than my other ones I've been posting so far, but what I hope comes out of the reading is that you received messages you needed to hear and get, and I hope it was even just a little bit healing for you. Alright, let's play the next set of cards. Oh, that one wants to fly out. Keeper of Secrets. Use your discernment, confide in a trusted friend, keep silent about knowledge. Okay, this reminds me of what I said about, it reminds me of what I said about, like, finding a person you can trust and, like, slowly building the trust, but it also makes me think, you know, the way she's wrapping herself and, like, comforting herself, because that's what she knows, it also makes me think you don't have to tell everybody everything, but you can tell them some things. Like, do small pieces that work best for you. Try not to lash out. I see the spider webs in this image. I don't know the meaning yet, but I'm drawn to the spider web. Spiders weave their webs, so yeah, weaving is another... Okay, weaving is a phrase I keep referring to, and I keep talking about the threads of your life. I feel like that's not only confirmation again, but I'm also being told maybe some of you should go into weaving, because I keep bringing it up, or maybe it's something you've considered. And I think you should, for some of you who want to do weaving, if you clicked on this video, if it was meant for you and you resonate with it, I think when you do the weaving, each thread has an intention. Like, what is your intention with each thread? So, like, when you weave through it, like, this is the thread of love. And then this is the thread of confidence. This is the thread, like, each thread that you're weaving, put it with some kind of intention. I feel like this is like your own version of, like, magic and self-exploration. And, like, this is, you know, for me, I like to do affirmations and I like scripting and all that, but, like, there's different things for different people, and I think this might be your thing. I'm hearing basket weaving all of a sudden, and I'm also hearing that some of you come from Native American sides. You feel very drawn to your spiritual side. I also think that some of the Native American sides were difficult, and there's a lot of hardships Native Americans go through. So I hear that as well. But yeah, I'm hearing basket weaving. I'm thinking Native Americans. I'm thinking of hard times. I'm thinking of you as a person going through some traumatic experiences. You need to know that you deserved better, okay? You deserved better. This card, it's just the color of her skin, but this right here, her hand, the way her hand is colored makes me think of blood, and it makes me think of, like, digging yourself out, and you dig so hard that you cause your knuckles to bleed. Yeah. I can tell that you're a good soul. I can tell that you deserved better. And know that, it'll be hard, but there's better things and better blessings for you in life. Alright, let's move on to the next card. Okay, hello. Gossamer Princess. Communication, relationship work to be done. Okay, that's back to the beginning, and she's sitting on a web again. Like, it's something to do with web weaving. communication and relationship work to be done confirms what I said in the beginning of this reading about basically self-improvement and learning that there are things that are wrong and not okay that you've done as well as the other person. Like, don't put the blame always on the other person. Some things come from you too. And even if you did have a traumatic experience, okay, just know, like, when that's coming up. Like, if you have a disagreement, let's say you're in a relationship and something happened where your partner upset you in a certain way and you basically freaked out, okay? If that sounds like you, remember, like, there's parts of you that it could have stemmed from, and it probably was over dramatic, but learn about it. Like, learn if this was truly how upset you were, or if it's because of something in somebody else from before. Learn to differentiate the two. Like, make sure you separate them, because they are not the same. Alright, let's do a couple more. We have once was innocent. Knowledge means change. Okay, yes. So, alright, we're moving on to the second stage. So this, to me, is confirmation. You know, you don't have to tell them everything, but learn from your experiences and what you know. Know that you're worthy. Know that some things weren't supposed to happen to you, but they did. Also learn that it's not your fault, but also learn, you know, in your future relationships, if there are things that come up, you don't have to say that it's your fault, but learn about the parts that are your fault and learn about the parts that are their fault. Like, make sure you know the difference. Knowledge will be your power in this situation. This says, once was innocent, knowledge means change. I feel like a lot of you are doing a very big growing journey for yourself. Her outfit's very drawn to me, so maybe some of you are more on the, like, gothic and emo side of stuff. You like all the darker clothings because, you know, you had a hard time. I'm being told you don't have to change your wardrobe, but learn to add a little splash of color with it. If you're female, maybe, like, do some colorful makeup instead of just a whole bunch of dark stuff. And if you're male, I'm being told, like, either jewelry or, like, your socks or something. Like, add a little splash of color to, like, your dark aesthetic. Just because this way it'll help brighten up your feelings in your day in some small way. You don't have to. That's entirely up to you. It's just advice that I'm giving. Or that Spirit's giving, I shall say. And I also see that, like, with that card I was just playing, I see built up confidence. Like, you're really growing. Like, you're having a metamorphosis. You're going through a lot of change. And this is, like, a major step for you. And I see that the confidence is building. And like, her little band on her arm, that dark time I was mentioning, that small band is there as a reminder, but it doesn't define who she is anymore. You know, this message is for both males and females. It is not sexist in any way. So when you come across this message, this is for you as well. So, like, this is definitely for you. If this video shows up when you needed it. Okay? Or even when you didn't need it. Maybe some of you just needed a reminder for it. Who knows? I suppose that still counts as needing it, doesn't it? Anyway. Let's play one more from this deck for this card. Story Keeper. Tell your story, legacy, and write your wisdom. So this makes me think of writing in the diary. I see the candles. I'm very drawn to all the candles. So I think some of you like candle magic. I feel like maybe some of you are more in the Wicca side of stuff. Or, like, maybe your beliefs contradict, like, how you were raised in some way. But I see candle magic. Write your intention and burn it in the candle. Write the things you want to let go of and burn it in the candle. You know, stay safe, of course. Make sure your fire is contained, okay? Make sure you have something for the fire in case well, hopefully nothing ever happens. But make sure you have something nearby to put it out if you need to, okay? So this is Tell Your Story, Legacy, Write Your Wisdom, Storykeeper. She's comfortable sitting on her throne, being just herself, who she is, embracing you as, like, embracing the real you, okay? A lot of the things that are, like, resurfacing aren't the real you. They're what you know because of experiences you've gone through, but it's not who you truly are. It just, and honestly, this isn't what defined you or made you either. It's just something that happened, okay? And I'm not saying like it nulls anything that did happen and that you weren't affected by it. But I am saying that these effects aren't you as the person you truly are. Like, I feel like you're a deep soul. I feel like you're very wise too, but you're scared, you're cautious, and you're anxious, and you're worried because you don't know if you can trust this person or this situation, or you have difficulty with trusting, and that's okay. Just learn to grow it. Like, even if you can't do a lot of trusting right away, learn to trust in small portions, and it grows over time, which is what I said a couple times already. And be authentically you. You know who you are, especially on the inside. Like, if you know you're a good person, show that. Show and explain how you're a good person, or write about it to yourself. You're like, I know I'm a good person because I do this. And write, like, just write things that you know are you. Like a diary, or setting the intentions in the candle, carving them into the candle. Like, I'm seeing a lot of candle magic. That's why I'm thinking of the, like, probably Wicca side of stuff, maybe, or something else. Very strange last minute messages. I'm thinking maybe some got into some, like, cult, like, dangerous stuff, and it did not go well, or something. Like, you can overcome these. It'll be hard, but you can overcome this. And you know, you're not in the spot you want to be yet, but this is you beginning. Like, your Wheel of Fortune is going up now. So you're just starting, and once it goes up, you'll know when you're, like, ready first. And then once you're ready, you know, like, there's only better things coming from that point on. Like, your mindset will change for you, basically. All right, let's see. I want to play the Sacred Traveler deck next. All right, messages for the collective who are in this. Uncovering treasure. I'm sorry, I stuttered. Uncovering treasure. Beneath the surface lies great bounty. I feel like this is a confirmation card with what I just said in terms of you knowing who you are and you're a good soul. Like, that's hidden treasure. Like this dragon is your hard outer shell, your past experiences, your trust problems and everything. Like, that's the dragon here. But inward is the treasure, like, and it's shining and brilliant and bright, you know, and it's ready to shine through. That's why everyone wants it. Okay? So that to me felt like a confirmation card. And also with the card in this image, like, this dragon, it's so, like, this dragon, it looks very hard and scaly, right? But if you look at the expression and the fact that the tail's wrapped around the treasure, like, this dragon is trying to nourish and nurture that treasure and let it grow. This is a very sudden message as well. I feel like some of you might be pregnant and you're having, like, pregnancy anxieties, and you're scared with how it's going to go. but you want to keep your baby safe is how I'm interpreting this message. That's a very specific message for some of you who might be watching. I feel like you're healthy. You know, pregnancy goes through different situations, changes all the time. Okay? Surrendering to the journey and release control. Okay, so this is interesting. So like maybe some of you have a difficult time like not being in charge of things in a specific way. Like you want this to happen this way and no other way. And that's just not how it works. So if I'm being real, I do see the lantern. I feel like you're being guided by light, and when you're guided by light, you're slowly coming to like, I don't want to say epiphanies. It's like realizations of. I don't even know how to explain it. So it's like an epiphany, but you're coming to realizations in a way where like you're becoming more wise is what I'm getting. Like what's the word? Kind of like more enlightened for a lot of situations. Okay. Which one? I guess it's both. Okay. Valiant courage. Take action with passion. And narrow pathway, tread thoughtfully. Okay, so I think the reason it dropped both of these at the same time. These are like the two directions of your thought process and where your mind can go. So tread thoughtfully is like all the anxiety and like it's like when your mind is basically eating your emotions. It's like you overthink it in a way where you can only think of negative outcomes. It's like the pessimistic side of you. And then take action with passion, valiant courage. Like you're scared, but be brave enough to move forward. And this one is like, I don't think about as much as I did, and I'm moving forward courageously through my passion in a way where I feel okay and I'm happy about it. And when things approach me, I will deal with it when the time comes. You know, these are very two different directions of thoughts, in my personal opinion. So, you know, and with the messages a lot about like weaving your threads of life and whatever, like these are the two examples. Like you can choose to go on an easier path and see how it goes first, or you can choose to be cautious and walk across this very crooked bridge very carefully the entire way. So like, in that, honestly, I feel like that would cause more anxiety instead of just like going through it, because then you're thinking about every single step for however far that is. Like, you know, this is like overthinking. This is like not worrying about it. So like you can choose between the two thoughts. Even if you want to balance a little bit of both, make it more like this. Like, okay, it's a short distance. I feel fine now. Like, make it so it's, like, reliable to you, basically. Don't live a life where you're always frightened, scared, worried, because you don't want to keep that in your life, right? You want to live comfortably, and you want to live a life where you feel happy, you feel safe, you feel secure. Like, make sure you embrace that part that you want. Like, go towards what you want. Don't stay stuck in the past the whole time. Move forward in a way where it benefits you and others, technically, because if it's coming and showing up in your relationships, regardless if it's romantic or if it's family or if it's friendship, like, it benefits you both, because not only do you grow from the situation, you've become more wise, you even become wise enough where you can give advice to those who are are kind of going through the same thing, or you see it, you can see if they're in trouble, and you approach, like, you become that person who approaches this person to make sure they're okay, safe, and if they need help. Like, you become that person. Like, you become an inspiration in a way where I'm thinking of domestic violence now. For those of you who've struggled or had domestic violent issues in the past, like, there's no reason for violence, okay? There really isn't. Anger is not a reason for violence. Depression's not a reason for violence. There isn't. There's no excuses, okay? We're all human, so we should be treating each of us like a human, all right? And, they have support groups for domestic violence. And the difficult thing about it is that often, things are too late by then, okay? Because a lot of people don't reach out before something bad really happens. And the way I see your cards going and how this is setting up so far, I see you as a person, as someone who's experienced it yourself. I see you being able to identify the subtleties of other people and being able to approach them in a way where, like, you give them a note, say, like, starting point, or like, are you safe? Give me a sign. Like, you just pass on the note to them in some way. And, I personally think it's sad, because I thought we were growing out of the domestic violent state of life, but it's resurfacing from what I see and am learning. And it's such a shame. But I see you, like, you are really, like, trying to not force yourself, but step into new waters where you want to grow and you want to learn things about your darker side, and you want to use this and help others with it, is how I see your cards being played out right now. I'm going to do a couple more cards from this deck. I want to play 6 from it, so let's do 2 more. Okay, so next one is protected by angels. You are cherished by the angels. I feel an overwhelming sense of wanting to cry all of a sudden. Like, you were very drawn to this reading and you wanted confirmation of these things and moving forward, this moment, like, alone has been very difficult and hard for you because it's very emotional for you. But, like, I'm also being told by Spirit that you at one point wondered if you were protected by angels or guides or whatever it may be to you. You were wondering why things happened to you the way they did and why you weren't protected the way you hoped you would have been. Like, I feel that you were questioned. You were being watched and guided by them. Even though back then it was hard to believe it, you're being watched and guided now as you're moving forward. Like, they're trying their best to help you and guide you to where you need to go. This reading being one of the messages just for you and confirmation towards it. Alright, last one for this deck. I've felt very heavy. I feel very heavy, but like a release. Which one is it? Is it one or both? I guess it's both. Never mind. You're getting 2 more cards from this deck. Oh, okay. So, next one is Journey by Moonlight, Believe in Magic. I mentioned candle magic for a lot of you. Write the things you want to release and let go of on a piece of paper and burn it. And then also write the things you want to have and to move forward on. Either carve it into the candle and light the candle for a while, or write it on a piece of paper and burn it from the candle as well. I mentioned colors before, and I'm being told colored candles. So, like, the color that matches the intention you're going for. For example, pink is romance, black is magic usually, white is like spiritual, blue is communication, things like that. Like, look into color colors that signify the intention you're going for. Last card from this deck is choosing your path, all is possible. And I mentioned how it's your choice. And, like, I feel like this ending part of this deck is, like, confirming, like, this guy is standing strong. And let me get the previous card. So, like, this guy, you can see how stoic and proud he is, right? And he's still wearing his armor, but he took a piece off. He's got no helmet on, right? Versus this one, where the helmet and everything and all the wounds and all the guards were up. Like, there's a big difference between these two beings in their armor. And this is such a metamorphosis to this, right? Like, I'm sure this guy had a strong past, right? But he's looking forward. He's ready to move to new things. And this one's just, the wounds are still too strong, right? And it's still there. So, like, choosing your own path, all is possible. And I mentioned between these two cards as well about, like, you can choose to do this or this, and it's like your directions of thoughts. But if you have to have both, make it more like this, right? Short term, short distance, and lead it to this. Like, make it adaptable in that way. Okay? Okay, alright, so I feel like that was a very deep message for some of you who've clicked this. It was very deep and very heavy, and I hope some of it's very healing for you in some way, or you resonated with it and got something out of it. I wasn't planning to play this deck with this reading, but Spirit told me to do it. It's called Angel Cards, so I feel like a lot of you are being guided and asking angels or asking for signs, and this message or this reading was meant for you in this way. So I decided to use it as the last deck to play, and basically it's just little cute pictures with words on it, and these words are going to be the meaningful messages for you specifically. I may or may not have an interpretation, but they will be words that you should acknowledge and keep in mind for yourself, your growth, and your healing. Okay? So let's get into it, and hopefully I don't make a huge mess. So, right? Alright, let's see. First one is abundance. Know that you are abundant. Okay. You're being watched by the angels. I'm being told that you're actually receiving more abundance. You're not used to it. You don't know how to handle it yet, but it's been coming to you in portions. You're acknowledging that it's there, but you're also, I'm being told you're freaking out about it because you feel like, it almost feels like you feel like these blessings mean that something's going to go wrong, and that's not what it is at all. Nothing's gonna go wrong. You're being abundant, and you're being given things you're asking for because you deserve it. Okay? You're worthy. Peace is the next one. So we have abundance, we have peace. Peace is like peace of mind, and the character in the little card is leaning against a tree. For me personally, I find that very relaxing. I love reading by the trees and just leaning my back against it. I'm being told also find something that helps ground you, whatever that may be. You need something that helps keep you grounded instead of like always in your mind. What keeps you, like, what brings you back into this present moment? Okay? I'm starting to feel better now. Like, I feel like I'm getting relief, and I feel like I feel like I don't have such a burden and heavy heart anymore. It feels like I'm releasing a lot of it now. Next card is support. Your support group. Figure out what your support group is and find it. So, like, who do you want to put your trust into? What kind of support group do you want to grow and build for yourself and others? Okay, and know that you're supportive, and know that you're also supported. Okay? Tenderness This next card, I felt like you had a tender soul. I'm also drawn to the black cat, which makes me think of familiar and witches. So I definitely feel like some of you who've clicked this, maybe you're into Wicca or the occult, not cult, occult. Okay, there's a difference. And I feel like you like do things for yourself in a way where you try to find inner guidance too, but this goes back to the message in the beginning where some of you, I said you need to go to therapy or you need to start or something, counseling of some sort. You know, you can, like, with me, I love doing readings and I'll do it on myself too. However, when I do it on myself and I'm not in the mindset to do it, like, let's say I'm upset, I'm way too confused, I'm very biased towards one direction, right? My readings do not come out right because when I do that for myself, because I'm being biased and my mindset is not calm and it's also not like focused either. So like go you need to go to other places as well. Don't only rely on that one source because so you know how they say I'm thinking of like Star Wars and Yoda was like don't think, just do for some of it, and but there's a scene where he's like teaching Luke to use the lightsaber, right? And he blindfolds him. He makes him not see it anymore because then he's no longer thinking about it and he just feels it. Like that's you in this situation. You need to learn to let go of the control of figuring it out on your own and learn to let some people in, even if it's small. Okay, those messages will help you a lot more than you just being very confused and I feel like you're being stuck on one perspective and that perspective is not the truth. Okay, it's you convincing yourself basically is what I'm getting. Okay, and okay, I think this I'll play one more after this. Healing. Okay, good. All right. Excuse me. I definitely felt by the end of this that you guys were feeling like you feel like you're healing to some extent. Like your heart no longer feels so heavy. Like the burden feels lighter. You got some messages and needs that you need, or words that you needed to hear. And then we have awakening. So I feel like that's confirmed for the last one. It just feels like the best message to end off on. So I'm going to reread these little angel cards for you right after I put these away. Otherwise, I'll make a huge mess. Okay. So, words of encouragement, acknowledgement, and messages for you to remember and keep in mind. All right. We have abundance. I'm sorry if my video is backwards. I just don't go through with video editing. Anyway, awakening is this card. Maybe once upon a time I will in the future. But for now, I'd rather just do the readings because I enjoy it. And I want it to help people. I want it to. I'm very much vibing with the theme right now. Help me help you, basically. Peace. So abundance, peace, support, tenderness, healing, and awakening. I love this focus. Waking up first thing in the morning, the sun shines bright and new, and you hear the birds sing. I feel like that's a strong message to end off on. I feel like you guys are really growing. I feel like you're just starting this, though, so give yourself some patience and time. Because, everything is a lesson, is a learning lesson, and everything takes time. Things take time to grow, to change, but one thing in life that's consistent is change. So, yeah, anyway, I hope this video resonated for some of you. Some of you, I hope, got the message you needed to hear, and I'll see you next time.